Welcome everybody to today's weekly town hall meeting, September 26th, 2022. Today's agendas, projects and development updates, documentation updates, marketing updates, collaboration updates, and Q&A. Let's get started, Robinson, with projects and development updates, please.
So we have some of the engineering metrics that we talked about in the previous town halls. So after we introduced this for the close to last one and a half months, we've been trying to optimize our process so that the Dora metrics can capture what we've been doing. So we had to make some changes to how we approach the development, how we do the release, and tagging of the releases. Tagging us like how we tag them in the SCM, that is git tags and things like that. So right now we have started seeing most of the metrics based on the Dora standards. So there are essentially four items which we'll be looking at, which is speed, frequency, bandwidth, and quality. So this first screen that we have here, this has our speed. It's also called as change lead time. What this means is how much time we spend in implementing, let's say, a feature or a bug fix. So the current screen has the change lead time or the speed captured. So as I was saying, what it does is it shows the entire time that we spent in implementing a feature or a bug fix, and the primary focus is on the development time as opposed to what happens before that. Like we may have requirement gathering and various other steps that won't be visible in these engineering metrics. So currently our change lead time or speed for completion of a given feature is around 10 days, and it's kind of improving. So that's a good sign. The time spent is split between development and rework in a 37-59 manner. That's a split. But I guess this metrics of 103 hours is kind of skewed because we had a lot of items, a lot of PRs which were pending, which we have now cleaned up. And also on the blockchain development, we had a practice of keeping PRs open for a very long time, and we used to do testing and even sometimes QA based on those MRs. So that's probably why this rework and review time is so high. It should be. I think it should now that since that we're trying to improve the way we work, I think it will improve to probably around 50 hours or so. Anyway, that's one area that we are trying to optimize. Now, this is a very important metrics, and we are also trying to use this more often, and we are also trying to use this for our policy deployment. That is the number of deployments that we make to production. So that's going to be how we are planning to measure our progress. So we had our process was not following any of these modern practices. So what we have currently, this screen, what we have is it is capturing releases across four of these products. And what it means is that we had in the last 3 months we had one blockchain deployment to production, that is to mainnet, and three deployments of the Dex UI, and one deployment each of Express NFT and QA deployment utilities. Now, something that is missing here is the next project, which has the highest number of developers and activity in terms of PRs. That is unfortunately not being deployed, not being captured in this. So we're trying to improve the way we do our releases and bring in more automation so that we can do frequent releases. So that's an area that we are actively working on at this point. So these metrics are pretty good because we are able to pinpoint our bottlenecks, similar to the next issue that I just mentioned. So this slide, this has the so-called bandwidth or throughput. This essentially shows the number of PRs that we do on a weekly basis. So the distribution is shown here. We were making some improvements. We are indeed making improvements after we started the process. And this on the rightmost corner, the graph with a green bar that shows the healthy area. So we are most of the time we are in the healthy region compared to the industry averages. Again, these metrics will improve now that we're making changes to our process. I believe these metrics are going to improve. Now, on the quality metrics, the DORA standards and our process is entirely different. So we are unfortunately not able to capture meaningful metrics here. But what it does is what this is meant for the change failure rate or failure rate. What it means is how many failures we are having in the production. But unfortunately, since we were not using, in some of the cases, since we're not using the right keywords, and in some cases like next, since we're not having releases, this metrics is not quite useful for us this at this point. But that also means that we have to seriously look into our process and improve so that our overall engineering efficiency can be improved. Now I'll rush through the rest of the project status improvements, updates. On the blockchain side, we've been primarily focused on various bug fixes and automation, and there were like numerous bugs which are either fixed. Some new ones have been identified, especially on the side chain related aspects. So we actively working on those. And on the Hive Suns, we are healthy with respect to the current active release candidate version, which is 1.26.c1, and we're waiting for further release candidates to continue our testing. So this is our charts for the previous week. On the Dex UI, we don't have any new updates except for the aspect that we're waiting for a production release since our CD needs a few final finishing touches. So we're waiting for the DevOps team to complete that so that we can go ahead with a production release. So we're trying to do this because otherwise our metrics, capturing our metrics may not happen. So that's the reason why we are waiting on this. On the next, this is where our most of our DApps developers are working on. So we had quite a few things happening here. We are evaluating for readiness for a release. And in terms of features, we had quite a lot of features completed from a development perspective. I guess the most extensive one was the node identifying the active nodes and connecting to them. So that has taken a lot of our time. But uh, we don't have the QA started for the new releases, new features. So that it's going to take. I think maybe by next week we'll be able to do the QA on this. And we are also actively working on the CD because we need to track the production and various other deployments in a much more tangible manner. So we're working towards that as well. So this is our graphs. As we can see, there's like a lot of tickets and features being completed. The Trade Hands, the NFT project, we had certain test cases, not test cases, tests for NFT rendering component completed. And we have a few more items like NFT metadata component and listing of NFTs owned by a user. These items are in review. On the NFT Notary side, we have been working. We have a demo setup, and we've been working on the test case preparation, which has been completed. So hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we'll complete the testing, and then this will be primarily demo to the collaborator, and then we will have to do some UI fixes. So that's NFT Lottery. On the Python side, we cleaned up a lot of older MRs, bug fixes, MRs with bug fixes, and we're planning to do a release. And on the new development, we are nearly done with the sidechain related functionality. So these is available in the develop branch, and older bug fixes and vulnerabilities, etc. They are merged to the master and awaiting a release. So that's all from the development team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robinson. Sean, documentation update, please.
Hello, thank you. We have the URL change complete for the documentation portal. So now all the .tech URLs are now .com. We also have a redirect in place from .tech to .com. So if you happen to have any URLs and you haven't made any updates to those, they should still work for you. But now all our documentation sites are using our .com URLs. New documents, we have the Grafana docs and also a delayed node doc out in the documentation portals. And an upcoming document, we have user stories for Trade Hands Explorer. Also, there's some work on the 3Speak project that we have coming up, user stories document for that, and then some potential functional specifications. So that's it for our documentation update. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sean. Michael, marketing updates, and followed by Sala with performance updates, please.
Hey, Kelly. Good morning, everyone. Last week, we completed work on some HR onboarding docs and feedback forms, not only for new hires that come into the organization, but for those people who have joined us recently. This will allow us to fine tune our process and make sure that we're setting up our new team members as effectively as we possibly can on day one and on week one when they arrive here. Sal is working with Robert and the scenes team to work at the functionality review. Some of the features that we were expecting to work weren't working in the way that we wanted. That work continues, and hopefully this day next week we'll be able to provide you an update as to when that work will be complete. The creative members of the marketing team, specifically Abigail and Oksana, have been working on some creative assets for as requested from Barris. We will be reviewing those today as a team and be sharing our best case scenario versions of those with the team this week. Weekly town hall emails, you will notice on the stats Sala will be presenting and has been presenting is that the click rate and read through and open rates on those emails is staying pretty static. It's not really that surprising. The content's not that endearing. I'm going to welcome and open the door to any suggestions that anyone in the organization has with respect to content that we could be adding into those emails. We're going to be doing some thought processes on the marketing team to fine tune that. And you guys will be seeing a new version of that email starting in the first week of October. Last week, we had a couple people out and a couple people under the weather. Now that we have hopefully reset for this week, I'll be restarting a website task force to kind of looking at refreshing and updating peerplays.com. Over to Sala.
Thank you, Michael. Hello, everyone. So in terms of performance, we are still tweaking and getting the KPIs to where we want. Here we are presenting the visits and page views by quarters and months and also weeks. We had a big peak in terms of in quarter 2. That was due to the campaign, new witnesses ad campaign that we are running Facebook, Instagram, and Google Ads. Also added to the new position job Google Ads that we run at the end of quarter 2. We are seeing a bit of down in terms of growth, like since last month, mainly due to redesigning that we are working on redesigning the whole website. So some pages are off, and we are working on getting the website as soon as possible with the new version, so we can get back to going up in terms of traffic. For the next slide, we have done like different domains and subdomains we have in terms of documentation, peerplays.com, the login and registration page. In terms of visitors, like by month and by week. So mostly we are working on getting all the KPIs in terms of the funnel from the homepage to the documentation to the registration. And once the scenes forum will be up and running, we will add those stats as well in order to have an overview of the whole traffic from the top of the funnel and until the end of the funnel. For the next slide, we have, as we talked last week, so we are doing a weekly growth of the social media in terms of the audience, seeing a positive growth on most of the social media, except last week a bit of down in terms of Facebook. But as Michael mentioned, we're working on new like strategy content to get like all the social the new growth tendencies. The last slide, we're accumulating the stats for emails. As Michael mentioned, so we had a pretty static email stats in terms of open rate and click rate. But starting the first week of October, we will be redesigning the email and having a new content on it, so we can have more engagement, more open rate throughout our weekly emails. So that's it for the performance for this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael and Sala. Jonathan, collaboration update, please.
Good day, everybody. So this is the collaboration updates for this past week with Peerplays. In the gaming sector, with Gaming Benefits Corporation, that is going to be or is heading up the regulated charitable gaming sector. What is happening there is that we had a pretty extensive call in regards to project management specifically, and where our team and their team are working together. It was quite exploratory, and we were able to nail down some details in that because of the next steps where there's going to be a lot more technical work coming up. What came out of that call essentially was we are going to be doing a follow-up this week, actually, in regards to the NFT Lotto, which has completed QA. I believe last week it completed QA. So it is actually pretty close to ready for commercial use. So with that, Gaming Benefits Corporation are among the collaborators who actually had a lot of input on that particular decentralized application. And so we will be doing a follow-up with them this week, where we'll be going over the NFT Lotto, and then there will be follow-up with that in relation to how they're going to integrate that with the rest of their other product offerings into the regulated charitable gaming space. That's exciting. Obviously, when that's ready to go, then that means there will be much more activity in relation to that, and then we can see where we go with that in regards to the application itself growing. So that was all for Gaming Benefits Corporation. So there'll be more on that in this coming week. Avalon Meta with our Scenes platform. This past week, we finally got a new update where Zoom streaming was enabled. The SSO, which is part of our PeerUp application, is now functioning with that stack. And there are some reported bugs, which we passed on to them. And apparently many of them that we found, they were known, and they're going to be correcting some of those, but those will be in future releases. None of them are showstoppers though, so we're proceeding with getting everything set up and doing the migration from Rocket Chat into Scenes, and then of course a larger movement in terms of having Peerplays community operating within Scenes. So that'll be exciting. There'll be more on that next week. In regulations, Government Blockchain Association, as reported last week, we have a speaker who is going to be on the panel at the infrastructure conference that's coming up this week, and that is going according to plan. Who's going to be on the panel with him is also going to be the CEO of Upheaval Corporation, which are the makers of the Ironweave blockchain. We've had more technical details sent from them and gone over their technical aspects of the blockchain stack that they've created. This is very interesting because it appears that they have solved the scaling issues of blockchain with the way that they've essentially separated the need for chains from blocks. I know that sounds really weird, but to understand the tech that they've created, you have to sort of change your paradigm from monolithic chains into understanding omni-chain, essentially, where chains are essentially communicating that they communicate by communicating with each other. I had numerous calls with the Ironweave with the Ironweave team on this. We also received technical documents that are not public, of course, because we've signed various agreements to not disclose anything. So everything I'm talking about now is very high level because of that. Regardless, there is a very strong desire from the Upheaval team to see incorporation of Ironweave within what we're developing in terms of what Peerplays is doing. And they also it also looks like they have already submitted application to the Government Blockchain Association for their blockchain maturity model certification. So if you don't know what that is, Government Blockchain Association essentially has created a standard for how blockchains should operate in terms of how they progress, a maturity model. But basically, it's the name of what that certification is. This allows for a sort of standard that everybody agrees by, so that when you're dealing with a particular blockchain or when you're interacting with another blockchain, if they have passed a blockchain maturity model as put out by the Government Blockchain Association, then it's easy to understand that, okay, they meet certain aspects of requirements, and so therefore the people who are interacting with it don't have to worry about certain regulatory issues that may exist within their jurisdiction. The RNV blockchain has an ideal sort of a base layer to it, which is likely going to be certified with this maturity model, which is quite exciting because by doing that, you have something which the current public chain infrastructure that exists within the crypto space hasn't done yet. And because of the relationships that Government Blockchain Association has with various levels of government across North America, as well as in some other countries around the world, it's like they are being leaned on in terms of getting input on how to implement blockchain within government agencies, as well as standards for which commercialization could be used. So we had there was a number of calls on that last week, and that went very well, I would say. And so there's more on that because after we received the technical docs, we've all been going over them and just trying to understand this tech better, because it is a bit of a quantum shift actually in understanding how blockchain could work, because it solves the scaling issues. The scale and the speed have been solved, which is, again, if we incorporate this into Peerplays, this could be game changer. More on that this week, I think. So we'll keep you posted. Obviously, going to the conference, there'll be more to report on that next week. So be looking forward to that. Esports, payments and events and management. So there was talk on this in relation to education. We were basically reviewing how incorporating esports into educational curriculum will be useful in terms of how people learn. If you've ever looked, we actually reviewed this section that's in Minecraft. There's an entire section in Minecraft that actually has there's an education sector which shows how to use Minecraft as a way to educate kids. It's quite fascinating. In the call that we had with our esports collaborator down in South Carolina, we talked about this in relation to other types of games, and also where we might have a starting point on that. I think in the coming weeks, we will start to see more formation on that. So that's all going well. Dedicated team updates. So the front end QA, we reported last week that we were down a man, and this week we are still looking for a new QA. We've had numerous interviews and have reviewed various applications, including some that were referred, but unfortunately none of them quite made it. So if you do know of anyone who is good QA and has at least 5 years experience, be sure to contact Alcon Rocket Chat, or go send them to the Peerplays LinkedIn, where there is an application for position available, so that we can be able to follow up and be able to shore up our QA. And those are the updates for collaboration and dedicated team this week.
Thank you very much. All right, we're on to questions, comments, and thoughts. There was one or two that came in from the community. We got hit with a horrible hurricane here over the weekend. So those questions will be answered, just not right now. I want to thank everybody for joining us, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you very much.